welcome back to the Explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving straight into the ultimate digital architect's blueprint. If you've ever wondered how massive, complex global corporations keep their digital ecosystems from just completely collapsing under their own weight, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to break down Rasta Infotech's strategic approach to SAP design and really look at how they lay the groundwork for total digital transformation.
It really all starts by asking this one simple but honestly massive question. How do you actually build a digital enterprise? Think about building a 100-story skyscraper. You wouldn't just show up to an empty dirt lot and start picking out the curtains, right? Absolutely not. You have to start with the steel foundation. You need a structural framework that can actually handle the immense weight of everything else that comes later. And in the world of enterprise software, that bedrock foundation has a very specific name. It's called the SAP Enterprise Structure. This is the absolute first and arguably most vital step in any SAP financial accounting and controlling implementation. Getting this set up correctly sets the stakes for the entire system's success. And honestly, that's exactly why Rasta Infotech focuses so heavily on getting this digital blueprint totally perfect from day one.
So here is our architectural plan for today. First, we'll look at the SAP digital backbone. Then, the anatomy of the enterprise structure. After that, we'll see a blueprint in action. And finally, we'll wrap up with the strategic benefits for the business.
Okay, let's jump right into part one, the SAP digital backbone, and why this foundation matters so much. To really wrap our heads around this, we need a clear definition. The enterprise structure is essentially a collection of organizational units that represent a company's hierarchy, mapped directly inside SAP. Think of it as the ultimate operating map of a business. It answers those super critical foundational questions like which legal entities actually exist under the corporate umbrella? Where exactly do financial transactions need to be recorded? And, maybe most importantly for the C-suite, how and where should reports be generated? Which brings us to a make or break reality. No structure equals no transactions. It is literally that straightforward. Without this digital backbone properly mapped out and configured first, SAP simply cannot process transactions correctly. The system is essentially blind. It won't know where the money is coming from, where it's going, or who is ultimately responsible for it. Moving right along to part two, anatomy of enterprise structure, looking at the specific building blocks. Rasta Infotech breaks this down into a highly precise hierarchy. Step 1 is the client. Step 2 is the company. Step 3, the company code. And step 4 is the plant. The whole logic here flows gracefully from the overarching system level at the very top, cascading all the way down to the physical, boots-on-the-ground operations. Every single one of these building blocks carries a distinct business impact. At the very top, you've got the client. This contains all the master data and configuration, basically letting multiple independent organizations exist inside one master system. Drop down a bit and you hit the company code. This is your independent legal entity, where the balance sheets and statutory reporting actually live. Then we have some really useful optional units, like business areas for segment-wise reporting and a controlling area, which is an absolute game changer for profitability analysis. And right at the bottom, the plant. This is the physical location of production, acting as that vital link tying logistics directly back into finance. Every unit has a distinct job to do. Let's move into part 3, blueprint in action. We'll look at a real-world style example from Rasta Infotech. It's one thing to talk about a theoretical list of organizational units, but it's much better to translate those into tangible concepts. So let's look at a hypothetical multinational implementation handled by Rasta Infotech. We're going to call this overarching corporate group Global Tech Ltd. Underneath that big Global Tech umbrella, Rasta Infotech has to define the independent legal entities scattered across the globe. To do this, they create specific company codes. So we've got IN01 for India, US01 for the USA, and DE01 for Germany. Each one of these codes represents a legally distinct operational arm of the larger group, and they are set up perfectly to handle localized statutory reporting. Now, what's really fascinating here is how this setup guarantees hyper-local compliance. For instance, IN01 in India is configured specifically for GST compliance, handling all the tax laws unique to that country. Meanwhile, US01 in the USA is independently mapped out for GAAP compliance. The real genius of the structure is that it manages incredibly complex global compliance requirements without ever crossing the wires or corrupting local financial data. It keeps everything neat and isolated. But listen, Global Tech doesn't just need reporting based on geography. They need operational reporting too, and that is exactly where business areas come into play. Rasta Infotech configures these optional units into specific divisions, like manufacturing, services, and R&D. This setup is huge because it allows global tech's executives to slice their data horizontally. They can run segment-wise reporting to see exactly which divisions are crushing it, completely regardless of which country those operations happen to be located in. Now, tying all of this global financial data together is one single shared controlling area. Even though we are dealing with different company codes across completely different countries, using one shared controlling area is a massive advantage. It essentially gives the chief financial officer this incredible global visibility. It allows for consolidated, top-down profitability analysis across the entire worldwide enterprise. It's a total game changer. All right, let's wrap this up with part 4, strategic benefits for business. This is the finished skyscraper.
When Rasta Infotech completes this intricate setup, that technical blueprint directly translates into real-world business outcomes. The first and arguably most critical benefit is compliance. Because the legal entities are isolated perfectly into their specific company codes, the business can practically guarantee accurate statutory reporting across all of its diverse geographies. No more compliance headaches.
The second massive benefit here is efficiency. Since every single piece of master data, from a physical plant right up to the highest client level, is logically linked, the company experiences highly streamlined processes. Suddenly, your finance team, your logistics guys, and your HR department are all speaking the exact same digital language. Then we have scalability. Look, a healthy business is a growing business, right? So what happens when global tech inevitably adds a new subsidiary or builds a new manufacturing plant? Well, because Rasta Infotech utilized a modular design for the enterprise structure, expanding the system is incredibly smooth. They literally just map the new building blocks right onto the existing framework. Easy.
And finally, profitability. By leveraging those segmented business areas and that unified controlling area we talked about, management gets a crystal clear view of their data. This underlying structure actively drives profitability because it allows for far better cost allocation and highly detailed segment reporting.
Ultimately, it all boils down to this fundamental takeaway from the source material. Enterprise structure is not just a technical setup, it's the strategic backbone of every SAP project. For a powerhouse consultancy like Rasta Infotech, mastering this precise structure isn't just checking off an IT chore. It is literally how they ensure their clients achieve continuous compliance, efficiency, and real growth. Which brings us to a final, slightly provocative thought for you to chew on as you look at your own organization's digital foundations. Take a close look at the systems you rely on every single day. Is your business structure truly built to scale, or is it just built to survive? Definitely keep that in mind, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next explainer.